Hello, we are watching the Star TV Newsroom with me, Maria Madem, and we broadcasting from our studios in Sarkunda. Many thanks for joining us. Let's begin with our headlines. Now, President Barrow to meet political party leaders ahead of the national dialogue. Now, in protecting Gambia's conserved areas, the Ministry of Environment establishes 4 acres and an MPA for biodiversity conservation. Now, as the local government commission of inquiry continues, the Mansa Congo Area Council CEO denies allegations of overstaffing tax collectors. Now, in supporting sports development in the country, Hope Academy received basketball gears from Dime Foundation. On international news, Ugandan salt miners risk their health for mercury pay at Lake Katwe. Those are the headlines, and now the news in detail. Many thanks for joining us. Let's now take a look at the news in detail. Now, President Adama Barrow is set to host a meeting with all political party leaders on Monday to discuss the theme of the political environment for sustainable peace and stability. The meeting, which will be held at the State House, aims to provide political party leaders with the opportunity to make statements and engage in dialogue on important national issues. More in this report.
The decision to hold the meeting comes in response to the urgent need for a national dialogue in the Gambia. A preparatory multi-stakeholder committee led by Amibonyang Sisoho, Director of Press and Public Relations at the Office of the President, has been actively working to facilitate the dialogue. During a press conference in Banjul on Wednesday, February 7th, 2024, Amibonyang Sisoho explained that the committee, which was inaugurated on January 30th, has approved the team and recommended President Barrow to meet with political party leaders. All 19 political parties in the country will be invited to nominate 2 individuals to accompany their party leaders to the meeting. In addition to the meeting on February 12, another meeting has been scheduled for February 14 to discuss thematic issues affecting the country. The preparatory committee, divided into 6 teams, will facilitate this meeting. The final discussion, scheduled for February 16, will mark the National Day of Dialogue, providing an opportunity for the nation to come together and address important issues. For Star TV News, I am Hadijaju.
Now, moving on, the Minister of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources has officially announced the establishment of 4 indigenous community conserved areas and a marine protected area at Katong, Halayin, and in the Central River region. This move comes as the Gambia aims to strengthen its commitment to conservation efforts and fulfill its international environmental obligations. More in this report. The Gambia is home to a diverse range of wildlife, including over 75 mammal species, 47 reptile species, and 30 amphibian species. However, more than 70% of these species are listed as threatened on the International Union for Conservation of Nature Red List. The country also boasts a rich avifauna with over 770 bird species. Honorable Rohijon Manjang is the Minister of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources.
On that note, Rohijon Manjang, being the Minister of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources, solemnly declare
the establishment of these protected areas is crucial for conserving biodiversity and preserving crucial habitats and ecological processes.
The establishment of the protected areas is considered as the most cost-effective means for conserving gene species, habitats and ecological species, and it's also considered as one of the most important on-site tools for biodiversity conservation. The government of the Gambia signed the Conservation on Biodiversity, Biological Biodiversity, that's the CBD, on the 12th June 1992. After 2 years, it ratified it. The CBD promotes the creation and effective management of protected areas. The National Biodiversity and Wildlife Laws was legislated in 2003, that's 2003, to respond to these urgent needs.
To further support biodiversity conservation, SIG said government has secured financial aid from the Global Environment Facility, GEF, through the United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, to implement the GEF 6 Land or Seascape Planning and Ecosystem Restoration Project.
Of the project is to create an enabling environment for the Gambia in building national capacity to lead the reform of land use and marine spatial planning policies and to implement land/seascape management that conserve ecosystem species and facilities. Also, the project will enhance sustainable land management, biodiversity, and integrated natural resource management in the Gambia. To be more specific, it will improve planning and enforcement system to identify and address causes of land degradation and biodiversity loss.
The declaration of the Katong Halayan Marine Protected Area and the 4 acres in the Central River region is a significant milestone in achieving these conservation objectives, as they are priority habitat areas for unique bird species and hippopotamus populations.
The importance of the process framework for the establishment of the Katong Halayan Marine Protected Area in West Coast region is, as I mentioned, the development of this and the 4 indigenous community conserved areas that the ICCAs in CRR North is a key milestone in achieving the project's objectives, as well as our national efforts in conserving the remaining flora and fauna of our country.
Local communities will also be equipped with the necessary skills for conservation and sustainable management, providing a blueprint for expanded protected areas networks. The areas covered a total of 51,240 hectares, which is equivalent to 4.27% of the country's surface area. In a declaration by the Minister of Environment, Rohijong Manjang, Katong or Halayan Marine Park, Nyani Sukuta, Nyani Kayai, Jailani Bakadaji, and Jarumakoto swamplands have been officially designated as protected under the Biodiversity and Wildlife Act 2003.
Will be to integrate, to have it registration in the government's gazette by the Attorney Generals and Chambers. By elevating the conservation status of these sites, which includes 1 community forest, calls for collaborative management efforts between Department of Parks and Wildlife and Department of Forestry and the surrounding communities, and also by equipping local communities under the necessary technical and social skills for their conservation and sustainable management. The government can provide a blueprint for enhancing the rapid expansion of the protected areas network with adequate support from local communities.
These protected areas will be collaboratively managed by the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources, the Department of Forestry, and the surrounding communities.
The monitoring, and then we've identified that it is a very important area, and the local community deems itself to bring that issue when we are developing the project to see how best we can support them to protect that area. And then we had this sand mining issue that was there, and now to change the benefit of those, because presently we don't want them to do sand mining. So that's why we brought this idea of having a marine protected area in the area, whereby we will push them to protect the area, but also to embark on activities that are lucrative for the communities, which are not sand mining, but ecotourism program development, beekeeping programs that we are doing there, mariculture and all these other fish aquaculture that we are planning to do with them, so that at least we can improve livelihood initiative and discourage them in this sand mining issue.
In conserved, there were other activities taking place, probably rice cultivation or other human activities. Now, if you ask the communities not to touch that area now, it means their livelihood have been affected. Now, what the project have done is to give them some alternative livelihood options, such as gardening, provided with boreholes, beekeeping, different types of training. And the project have also even selected a few community members, send them to Kenya so that they can learn how conservation is done there.
Meanwhile, these areas will be recognized as indigenous community conserved areas, highlighting the ownership rights of the local communities and indigenous people residing in these areas. Maria Madam, reporting for Star TV News. The CEO of the Mansa-Kongo Area Council, Mr. CDK Toure, on Thursday continues his testimony before the local government commission of inquiry, accusing his council of corruption, mismanagement of funds, and overstaffing market tax collectors. The Commission is currently conducting investigations into various municipalities and area councils to promote accountability and good governance in local government. Sally Camara has the details.
On Thursday, February 8, 2024, the Commission continues to hear from Mr. CDK Toure, the CEO of Mansa Konko Area Council, who detailed instances of mismanagement in his councils. According to statements acquired by the Commission, Mr. Toure has allegedly been absent from crucial council meetings, leading to delays in decision-making and hindered progress. However, Mr. Toure provided reason for his absence during his testimony and explained the circumstances behind it.
Are you able to tell us why you were not in attendance?
I cannot remember particularly why I was not in attendance. I know at times I do go late, and on 1 or 2 occasions I was absent from the meeting.
And if you're absent from duty, what about your subordinates?
Actually, they do attend meetings. They do attend meetings. For them, even in my absence, when I'm not there, they do attend meetings.
But on this particular instance, they have said that neither of you are there. Not you, not your Director of Finance, not the Director of Planning.
Actually, I cannot remember what happened that very day, why we didn't go.
During the proceedings, the Commission presented a statement from the Director of Finance of Mansa Konko Area Council, alleging an overstaffing of market tax collectors who were later deployed within the council. Mr. Toure denied these allegations, suggesting that it may have been an oversight on the part of the Director of Finance.
So what do you have to say about that?
For the market collectors, there is no overstaff.
So are you saying that the Director of Finance wasn't telling the truth?
Actually, I deny. No. Because we still
no, you deny what?
I deny saying they are overstaffed.
No, I didn't say you. You're not the Director of Finance. The Director of Finance said that they were overstaffed. The revenue collectors were too many at the Soma market, so you shouldn't appoint any new ones. Was that correct or was that not correct?
It was not correct.
Okay.
As the Local Government Commission proceeds with its investigation into the Mansa Konko Area Council, further details regarding the alleged corruption and mismanagement of funds are expected to emerge. Sittings continues. For Star TV News, I am Sally Camara.
That was Sally reporting there. Now, Hope Academy, a basketball school in Talinding, has recently received a generous donation of equipment and gears from the Dime Foundation, a charity organization founded by Ida, a Danish basketball player. Now, the donation ceremony took place at the Serekunda East Basketball Court, where the community came to celebrate the occasion. By Core reports.
Hope Basketball Academy in Talinding, that was founded in 2016, received a generous donation of basketball equipment from Dime Foundation, a charity organization created by Eda, Danish basketball player. Eda shared a passion for the game and wanted to give back to the community that her coach hailed from. The donations were not only meant to improve the students' performance on the court, but also to promote education and sports in the Gambia, and to inspire a sense of pride and teamwork within the academy. Sona and Eda hope that their small gesture of kindness will make a big difference in the lives of those in need. The president of Serekunda Sports Development Organization, Momodo Yusfa Cham, alluded that the committee supports all sporting disciplines of Serekunda East.
As a zone, what we are doing is we are managing these teams. That is the Serekunda East basketball team. We have a program officer for basketball. That is also an executive member, automatic. He is elected like the way the president is elected. So he brings basketball matters and basketball issues and basketball expenditures before the committee, and the committee takes them and then do them. So this is like we run the volleyball, like we run any other team that is here. So we support the discipline in the, they are in the league, and then there are extra other activities that they can organize. So the CESDO always come and then possibly support the match expenditures, match preparations. This we normally do as a committee.
Sona Kamara, a Gambian Danish basketball coach who's been a coach for more than 2 decades, met a talented Danish player, Eda, who shared her passion for the game by establishing a foundation called Dime to give back to the community that had welcomed them with open arms. Danish basketball coach Sona Kamara outlines some of the reasons why the gesture is brought here in the Gambia.
So when I was a kid, my mom always told me to look through my closet and see all the things that I didn't use and pack them and send them to Gambia, because a lot of people here are less fortunate than I was, and it would help and it would be a lot of meaning. It would give a lot of meaning to the kids down here. So I did that growing up, and I have a really big passion for basketball, and I thought, why not do the same with basketball gear? So I reached out to Mohammed from Hope Basketball Academy, and back in 2016 or 17, and he said that they would really needed the gear. So I packed some things, I asked some basketball clubs, and I shipped them down, presented them the first time in 2019. And I saw the impact that it did on the kids. Some of the kids that we helped, that I helped, or we are helping also, are gonna make it big in basketball, and that's my biggest motivation and inspiration.
The founder of Hope Basketball Academy, Mohamed Njai, outlines the second reason that motivated him to come up with this academy.
If you see, Hope started in 2016 because we got inspired, and then we wanted to change a lot of things about Gambian basketball. There was a time a young boy called Ibrahima, he wanted a basketball shoe, so he called and he asked me to buy one for him, and I couldn't do that for almost 1 month. By the time I got money to buy him a basketball shoe, he already left to Italy through the back way, and he passed. He died. So at some point I blamed myself for that. And then most of these coaches here, they blame themselves, and they said, maybe if we could have get the shoes to him first, maybe he could have fall in love with the game and then not to think of going through the back way. So we decided to start this program, call it Hope, just to restore hope in the lives of young people. And then looking at the situation of the Gambia, our environment is very challenging for young people. So we feel that it is our responsibility to remind these kids about who they are, so that they can be proud of themselves and then work hard, play basketball together with focus their education.
The children's faces lit up with joy as they received the gifts, knowing that the academy now had the tools they needed to pursue their dreams on the court. The Chief Executive Officer of Dime Foundation, Eda, set light on how she became passionate about basketball and established in the foundation.
My dad and my mom plays basketball, so that's how I got into basketball. But I think who inspired me to do all this was Sona, who is on the side here. She was my coach for the last 2 years. She's done a lot of things for her community back here. So that inspired me to help her to make a bigger difference and do more for her local community.
The students of Hope Academy were overjoyed to receive the gift and could not wait to show off their new skills on the court. The event was a testament of generosity and compassion and their actions. Sona and Eda motivated others to give back to the community and support those in need. Reporting for Star TV News, I am Baikor.
Now from the story by Baikor, let's shift attention to some international news. Thousands of informal salt miners in western Uganda are struggling to make ends meet. They work in salty water for long periods without protective clothing, increasing their risks of exposure to waterborne diseases. Lake Katwe is Uganda's largest salt mine and an important resource for the growing industry. But the labor comes at a high cost, as Zera's Catherine Soe reports.
Uganda's largest salt mine sits on the shores of Lake Katwe. Most of the salt extracted here is exported to neighboring countries. We find Regina Gabo hard at work, scraping through crystals and murky water, with the stench of gases hanging heavy in the air. She wears no protective gear, and the hypothalamic water affects her health.
If I stay in the water too long, I get a rash. Some of the crystals are sharp, so we often get injuries. We have to improvise with protective gear. We have no choice. This is our life.
A report by the United Nations Development Programme has found laborers who are in the water for a long time are at greater risk of contracting sewage-borne diseases. It also says long-term exposure can cause organ damage. On a good day, Regina makes about $3.
The smell here is pungent, and the miners say they have to work very hard all day, every day, to get to the salt. It's a hard job, they say, with little returns.
At the other end of the lake, these men are breaking off larger rocks for industrial use. Mining is a seasonal activity, most lucrative during the hot, dry summer months. But climate change has complicated matters. Usually at this time of the year, the area is baking in the sun, yet now it's raining.
We are experiencing a lot of floods on the lake. And when the lake is flooded, some of the salt pans get submerged within the salt pan. And it won't be easy for someone to construct the walls of the salt pans.
A law passed in 2022 to regulate artisanal mining and ensure workers' safety has yet to be enforced. And so these miners do the best they can in the few months they are able to work. Catherine Soy, Al Jazeera, Lake Katwe, Western Uganda.
At least 7 police officers have been killed in Pakistan as the general election got underway. The Interior Ministry has temporarily suspended mobile services across the country, citing security concerns. At least 28 people were killed in 2 bomb attacks on Wednesday in the southwestern province of Balochistan. Israel fighters claimed responsibility for those attacks. Al Jazeera's Kamal Hidur has the latest.
The Interior Minister has temporarily suspended mobile services across the country, citing security concerns. At least 28 people were killed in 2 bomb attacks on Wednesday in the southwestern province of Balochistan. ISIL fighters claimed responsibility for those attacks. So voters in Balochistan province have been going to the polls despite yesterday's blast.
Voting is our national duty, and everyone should do it. I came here to vote for a better future. The security arrangements are what convinced me to leave home and come to the polls. I urge my brothers to come and vote.
There are security worries, of course, because of the blast yesterday. So there is a worry, but we came out to vote anyway for the sake of our futures. We hope for the best.
Kamal Haidar is joining us now from Islamabad. On this issue of security concerns, Kamal, I mean, how real is it? Because we're hearing that there's been yet another bomb blast in northwest Pakistan just in the past hour.
Well, those concerns were already there, particularly for the 2 provinces and regions of the 2 provinces, the southern region of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, where those attacks took place on the policemen, many wounded also, many killed, and then 2 killed in Balochistan. Now, Balochistan has seen the worst of it. 28 people were killed yesterday. Political campaigning was at a minimal. Horse trading was very high because everybody wanted to woo the local candidates. But the situation in Sindh, Punjab, and the capital Islamabad, quite normal. However, we are now getting reports that Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, this is Imran Khan's party, their polling agents, they have been kidnapped in Attak district, which is also in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. Their polling agents are not allowed inside the polling stations in the Punjab. And Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf is saying that the suspension of internet and cellular phone services shows a clear indication that there is rigging going on. However, their leader, Imran Khan, who's in jail, cast his ballot through postal ballot, and he's told everybody that whatever happens, people must exercise their right to vote, and that the fate of the country lies in their hands to ensure that the people are able to go ahead with the mandate that they've been given under the Constitution. So, indeed, allegations, question marks about the fair and free elections, and at the same time a security predicament in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province and Balochistan.
Okay, so talk to us about the state of play today and how the voting is actually going and when the polls close.
Well, the polls are supposed to close in less than 3 hours from now at 5 o'clock Pakistan Standard Time. It's already past 2 o'clock here, 8 GMT, so that basically shows that there's very little time. People have been complaining because they're queuing up. Everybody will want that they should be able to vote once they are at the polling stations. And as I mentioned earlier, there are big question marks as to whether this is indeed a fair and free election. The United Nations Commissioner for Human Rights had already expressed his apprehension, saying that they were concerned about the violence. And now there are accusations coming from Imran Khan's party, which is by far the most popular party in the country, accusations that their polling agents are not being allowed and that there is rigging going on. So it will be important to see what happens at the end of the day. What is the voter turnout? If the voter turnout is large and over 50 to 60%, then we could expect some surprises. But at the moment, the situation quite uncertain.
All right, thank you. Kamal Haidar reporting from Islamabad.
Now, millions of people die from hunger every year. Enough food is being produced in the world for everyone, but almost a third of it goes to waste. A conference in Qatar is looking at ways to ensure people's basic needs are being met. There are fears that climate change and ongoing conflict threatens to make the problem worse. Azira's Imogen Kimber reports from Doha, Qatar.
Every year, millions of people are facing starvation, 45 million of whom are children, while billions of tons of food is going to waste.
Globally, we produce more than 3 billion tons of food grains every year. More than 30% of it globally is wasted.
It's estimated that millions of people starve to death every year. Here at this conference in Doha, delegates are discussing how policymakers need to prioritise people's right to get food and how to stop many unnecessary deaths from hunger.
National and international trade policies tend to support large agricultural enterprises and corporations who dominate the global food market.
It's a highly problematic situation when the corporate sector gives the policy direction to public decision makers. We have seen this in 2021 UN Food Systems Summit, where huge corporations also active in the pesticides or food sector, influencing heavily the decisions being made by the UN. Normally states should do that.
FIAN International, which advocates for the right to adequate food and nutrition, says 60% of agricultural land in the world is owned by the richest 10% of all landowners, which along with the corporation's ability to set prices means it's tough for small-scale farmers to survive.
Small-scale farmers and small-scale and local communities, they're not able to actually access the market to sell these products. And so the people, the poor people that really rely on, the food, services, goods from these small-scale farmers are not able to access or even afford.
Climate change is a cause of food shortages in countries that are experiencing severe weather changes and rely on their own food sources.
The countries that are most seriously affected by climate change actually are sub-Saharan Africa. And this is, if you know, it is happening since the 1980s when we have very severe drought. Kenya, over the last 5 years, they have severe drought because of climate change. Kenya lost about 80% of their livestock in the last 5 years.
But this year, Kenya has the opposite problem: flooding. Across the rest of East Africa, the story is the same. Years of drought, then flooding that destroys crops. But the biggest cause of starvation is conflict, something that is also affecting many countries in the region, like Sudan and Ethiopia, alongside climate change. Those attending this conference say it's absolutely critical that policies are changed to tackle climate change, end conflicts, and stop protecting corporations ahead of individuals' basic rights and needs. Imogen Kimber, Al Jazeera, Doha.
Now, I'm afraid the story brings us to the end of this news bulletin. But before we go, a quick reminder of the main headlines. Now, President Barrow met political party leaders ahead of the national dialogue. Now, in protecting Gambia's conserved areas, the Ministry of Environment establishes 4 acres and an MPA for biodiversity conservation. Now, as the local government commission of inquiry continues, the Mansa Congo Area Council CEO denies allegations of overstaffing tax collectors. Now, in supporting sports development in the country, Hope Academy received basketball gears from Dime Foundation. On international news, Ugandan salt miners risk their hull for make repair at Lake Katwe. That's all we have for you in this edition of the news. Do join us tomorrow for another bulletin. But in the meantime, do enjoy the rest of our programs and have a wonderful night. Thanks for watching.